So first and foremost, we get to just bring attention to honoring your body. I think that we have gotten a little bit far from remembering how sacred our womb is, and not just everybody gets access to that. I mean, we are the ultimate creators of life on this planet, and so men get to earn their access to that. I often I'm a
Yeah.
little woo woo. I'm a lot woo woo, and I think nobody was showing up to God as temples without an offering. So why are we giving up the temple without an offering? It doesn't land, it doesn't resonate.
So good.
So as long as that's the foundation of how you move in this, like my body's actually sacred, the energy exchange gets to be more earned than not. That's the first move. And then I can tell you exactly what to say to men who are asking about it. It goes like this.
Yes.
My body is really for me right now, and I'm not sharing it with anyone because I'm intentionally dating and looking for my person. And it doesn't have to be you. I would love it for it to be you, but it doesn't have to be you. But I just know the next person I share it with is going to be a really important person in my life. And I'm so grateful for the men who respect that.
Oh my gosh, that's perfect. And for those of you that are not watching this on YouTube, you need to see her body language as she's saying this. There's a little bit of flirtiness there, right? You're batting your eyes, using your shoulders, and you're making him feel good about your decision rather than just a shutdown. Mwah. Welcome in, you guys. You're listening to Andrea with From Mrs. to Ms. The big question of the day that I have is, why is it that the more successful you become, the harder love feels? Like, it feels like we built this incredible life, but when it comes to relationships, you're still the one doing the work. You're holding it all together and wondering why it doesn't feel as good as it should. So that's what we're talking about today. And we have someone special here today to join me in this conversation. I have Taylor Carr with me today. Hi, Taylor. How are you?
I'm so amazing. I'm so excited for this conversation. It's one of my favorites.
It's one of your favorites. I'm so excited that you are here. You are just such a breath of fresh air. You look lovely. We actually are very kind of matching a little bit here today with our whole aesthetic, which is beautiful for people that are going to watch us on YouTube. They want to go check that out. For those of you that maybe don't know Taylor Carr, she is a love, dating, and relationship expert, as well as a feminine abundance coach and clinical hypnotherapist who helps high-achieving women stop over-functioning in love and start receiving it. Her work focuses on feminine energy, magnetism, and embodiment, guiding women to break patterns of overgiving, control, and emotional burnout so they can attract emotionally available, devoted partners. After going through her own experiences with heartbreak, burnout, and pushing in masculine energy, Taylor built a method that helps women shift into ease, self-worth, and what she calls becoming the woman who doesn't chase love, she magnetizes it. First of all, love, love, love that. That is so good. And I think so many people get stopped there, right? When they are chasing instead of just letting the love come to them. That's what I kind of find. But you talk a lot about women overfunctioning in love. What does that mean exactly, the whole overfunctioning? And when did you first realize that you were kind of doing that in your own life?
I am your typical big sister, type A, people pleaser girly who could just hold the world together. I was the parent to the parents, right? And I didn't know this about myself. I just knew I was really good at taking care of the people that I loved. And it was interesting because I was like type A minus. I didn't get everything perfect, but there's a perfectionism in, if I wait till the last moment, then it won't be perfect, but then I can prove to myself, if I would have had more time, I'd be more perfect, right? So procrastination and all of this was coming up in my life a lot. Now, I thought I was very feminine in flow. I was doing women's circles. I was being the goddess in Venice Beach and working at the crystal store. And I still kept ending up as Mrs. or Ms. almost right. And men would come in, fall in love with the idea of me, and then they were gone as soon as we were getting close. And so I had to get really, really granular and look at my behavior. And what I saw was that I was stepping in and leaning in every time that they weren't doing something perfect. I was managing every situation because I wanted it to be my way. And I think that women who are entrepreneurial and successful in nature, we just know we can do it right. So we'll just step in and fill the gap. We're really uncomfortable with actually letting other people control the dynamic. So that's where it kind of started for me. The biggest heartbreak of my life led me here.
Oh my goodness, you're so right. And I'm raising my hand too because I'm the same. And I think it's the more and more independent we come as bosses, as mothers, as wives, we do get into this control mode, right? And this masculine energy that we're so trying hard to get back to our feminine energy. And so I think it's really difficult when we are already in that control mode to taper it back and to change it because our mind is saying we do have to get to that perfect state. So I can totally relate to you. And that is such a good wake up call. And a lot of people don't actually have that. They don't recognize that in themselves. So that's pretty cool that you did. And how long ago was that?
That was, let's see, it was 2022, March of 2022. I went through the
Mm.
biggest heartbreak of my life where I let everything fall away and die. I lost my home. I lost my business as it was. The man I thought I was going to marry woke up one morning and said, I actually don't see a future with you. I want to be a rock star, and moved out.
What?
I couldn't do anything but grieve and write poetry for 3 months. And this became
Oh my
the
gosh.
most important experience of my life because I decided to roll up
Hmm.
my sleeves and go, what is going on between men and women these days? Why are we not speaking the same language? I'm going to find out.
Hmm.
And so I did.
And that's what started it all. So that's what we say one door closes so another can open because you wouldn't be here today if that didn't happen and you didn't actually get to have that hands-on experience with it. It's hard to relate to other people. We can listen, right? And we can kind of tell them what to do. But once you're in it, it's hard to take your own advice too, right?
Totally,
Very
totally. And
true.
I was really lucky because I have a grandmother who's such a bombshell. And she's the
Hmm.
woman who turned down Elvis Presley because he wasn't her type. Like, she's amazing. And so
I
I
love
went
that.
to her and I said, I'm willing to listen. I'm ready. I think in the past I've written off your advice and I thought I knew what I was doing, but I don't. Can you please tell me everything you know? And she did. And
Uh-huh.
then I went and I put it to the test.
So that's where it really started, and it's so different probably in her era when she was dealing with that. I'm sure well, obviously, we didn't have social media and where people can check what you're doing and all of the computer stuff we can do. So she had to do everything, like, just herself, and so to be able to share that with you is so cool, and you to actually be able to take it and implement it into your life now, how cool is that? I love that.
It's the best ever. And so I decided to start calling what I do classic dating with a modern twist. I got really curious about the past, the present, and
Mhm.
the future. And how do we collapse those timelines into making something that really gets true results, not just fleeting results, but true lasting results in love?
Wow. So you really have to separate the past, the present, and the future, or are you saying you can kind of combine them all to help yourself get through this time period and get to where you want to be without looking too much in the past? Feels like
Combine them all, actually. So I looked to the past to
combine.
figure out what were women doing in the past that got them a certain result, right? Like men courting them, men being okay with waiting to go to bed with them. Like, what are these things that were actually working? I actually became obsessed with courtesans and mistresses of the past, like Georgian era, because these women knew something about being free in that era,
Mm,
not being tied down, not being property, but having men fall so in love with them. They provide these beautiful lives of
yes.
freedom for them. So I got curious about that. I got curious about grandma's generation in old Hollywood. I got curious about post pandemic and why
Yeah.
everything has changed from technology to economy, everything going on. And I did what I call the 5 men experiment. So I decided to date 5 men at the same time and try on
Love
different
it.
ways of being between feminine and masculine energy, collect the data, and then take a couple women, put them through the same trials, and see if we all got the same results. And it was marriage, relationships, rings left and right.
Oh my gosh, Taylor, I want to hear all about that. That is fascinating to me. Okay, so all right, let's go back on this one. So where'd you find these 5 men? On a dating site or just people you knew? Dating site. Okay.
Oh, I had open energy. So it was like Hinge. It was if they approach me, if it's the bartender, my energy's open, I'm dating.
I love this. Okay, so you had 5 show up and then you're dating them all at one time. So did any of them know that you were dating the other one? They all knew they were part of an experiment? or no?
I was intentionally dating to find my husband. So they knew that I was
Yeah.
dating to find my person, and I
Okay.
wasn't closing down options until I was sure. And so with two of them, I decided to lean in and be more masculine and pursuing in nature. I'd drive to them. I would just be really easygoing. I'd go where, if there was no reservation, it's all good. We'll walk around. We'll sit at a bar. No problem. My old
Yeah.
version of dating when I was younger. And
Yeah.
then with these other three men, I decided to be a bit of a pain in the butt. Like, I'm going to lean back, do absolutely nothing, and I'm just going to be embodied in this energy, and let's see what happens. It was sending me cars. It was taking me to the best restaurants, driving from an hour away twice a week at rush hour to take me out. The theater was part of it. I got a flight to Mexico without intimacy at all, but a beautiful vacation
Oh
for
my
us.
gosh.
And I learned a lot in the process, and all of them knew my body's for me. I'm not sleeping with anybody,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I'm looking for my person.
Oh my gosh, this is so fascinating. We're going down a different path than I thought we were going to go because I didn't know. Okay, so I have so many questions here. Okay, so that's so interesting that so two of them you really did the whole masculine thing and you pushed forward and you made all of the moves. So what was their reaction to that? Were they responsive? Did they like it? Or were they more like, God, I wish you were a little bit more feminine and let me plan, let me lead?
They treated me horribly, actually. There was one I drove from LA to San Diego to go on a date with him. And we were sitting
Yeah.
at a bar. He had made reservations. We were jumping from restaurant to restaurant to figure out where we were going to eat. And at some point, he goes, "Is this the point where you become more feminine?"
What? And what did you say? Or I mean, how do you react to that? This is during the date or when you're trying to find the restaurants that he didn't plan out?
We finally sat at the bar that was on a wait list. So we had been waiting to sit at this bar, and that's when he said it. And it's funny because I'm very vibrant and open. Like, I'm the person who walks in a room and I'm like, "Hi, cuties. Da, da, da. This is me."
Yeah.
And so we sat at the bar next to this other couple, and they had just gotten their dinner. And I said, "That looks amazing. What did you guys get? That sounds great. Enjoy." And he goes, "Oh, well, now that we have our food, would you like to share it with your friends since you can't stop talking to everybody else?"
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. So you knew right then and there, okay, this is obviously not my person, right? This is somebody, because we kind of say we can tolerate somebody if they're a little bit more like that, if they truly are a person, because we're not going to recognize that as much. But wow, that is crazy. So what did you do?
I think it was just fascinating to be taking in the information rather than trying to stop
Yeah.
it or control it. Just let myself witness what's
Yeah.
actually happening. And this particular person was a marriage and family counselor. He was a therapist. So I was quite
No.
surprised to see that even in my pursuing, I'll drive to you, I'll come here, I'll do this, his
Yeah.
behavior got significantly worse from the first FaceTime date. It was information. I was really just collecting data
Mm,
at this time. The second guy
mm.
tried to get to intimacy very, very, very quickly. When it didn't go all the way, he just slowly tapered away and didn't set up a date. This is what we hear all the time, or women like, "I
Yeah.
was so great. I was so open. I didn't go to bed with him. I didn't this." And then he tapered away. But I still drove to his side of town. I still made it easy. I still was texting him, "Thank you so much for a great date. How are you feeling?" I pursued, and he
Yes.
wasn't interested.
Wow. What is it in us that makes us do that? Why is it just because we want that when we're not getting the attention that we're looking for, or we're not feeling like we're being noticed enough, then we start. Well, I guess anytime when somebody starts pulling away, that is just your natural progression to right to start chasing them. And that's what you want to do. And that makes it very difficult because I feel like there should be a little push and pull in that. There should be, right? Like it has to be a little bit polarizing for us to really enjoy the relationship because as much as I love being feminine in the relationship, there's times that, I want to be giving. I want to drive to him. I want to do those things for him. And it should go both ways, I would think.
Should is such an interesting word, right? Because should is the background code of shame. So when we're thinking about all the things
Yes.
we should be doing, there's a shame underneath it. So in my world and what I teach my clients is, yes, you're giving, you're here for a reason. You're overfunctioning, you love this, you have a bit of a controlled program. If I don't do it, he won't. You
Mm.
don't trust men to actually do these things. And so there's a really disempowering thing happening where because we don't believe in men, we pick up all the
Mhm.
slack for them and then we don't like the result of it. If you would like to be a woman who's giving and loving and all of that, let him earn that from you first. And it's even
Mhm.
more of a reason to let them earn it up front because the foundation that we set in the beginning of a relationship is incredibly valuable and important. And men fall in love with what they work for. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying this is what it is. So let
It
them
is.
earn that big, beautiful, nurturing, loving heart where you can step in and do
Mhm.
everything. And then when you are finally in that dynamic where you can give back, please don't overgive because they get to stay in love with you too.
I love that. So you do got to be totally aware of what you're doing throughout the entire process of it. You kind of, it's not that you can't let your guard down, but you want to make sure that you are just paying attention, right? Like you want to pay attention to everything that's happening because you can so easily fall into that other little category where, you start doing little things for them and then all of a sudden you're right back in the spot that you shouldn't be. So I love that you say to start out, right from the beginning and set your boundaries and everything that you're looking for at that time.
Yeah,
So
I think
good.
I think there's an old paradigm of relationship that we're really transcending right now, and it was less intentional. It was we fall in
Hmm.
love and we're like, oh my gosh, we're out here, we're having these experiences, and it's hot and it's amazing up front, but it can fizzle out almost as hot as it started out. Whereas I think
Hmm.
now, in the way that I teach, we're moving so much more intentionally that means that we're intentional through the whole process. I'm getting married in
Yeah.
3 weeks, and it was a very intentional process. Yes. And even now, every conversation, every little argument, everything we do is so deeply intentional with the foundation
Yeah.
of I'm choosing you, not like I just fell in love and
Mm.
yay. I'm choosing you. So here's this conversation. I'm choosing you. So here's this
Yes.
blip we're having. I'm choosing you. I feel like I'm over functioning. And so we move
Yeah.
so much differently than anything that I had done when I was younger.
Mm, that's beautiful. I love that. So, why do you think, and because I want to go back actually to the three that you said that you were feminine with, and you just kind of laid back and let them take the lead on everything. And so they often say that men fall in love by doing things for you, right? So that's how you kind of want to start it out as you can ask them, "Hey, I can't reach this. I can't, I need your help with this," because that's where they fall in love. Do you think that's what happened in those categories there? Those
Yeah, I
situations?
mean, it's so interesting because when I think back to those particular guys, I just love a
Yeah.
hindsight. I'm like, I think about it so kindly, you know. I didn't really like them very much, and there was something in me that seemed to like the guys I was pursuing a little bit more, which was information about women, right? I have to work for
And
this, and therefore
yourself? Mhm.
my worth is behind it. Whereas these guys, I was like, I don't know. I don't really like men like that. Like I've never been with a guy who's like super high performing, super successful, but not connected to his emotions. So that was new for me. And
Yeah.
because I was detached from it, they were like, wait, 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 wait. I want more of you. And because I was detached, I was able to be more of me. So I remember sitting on a date at a steakhouse called Voltaire in Los Angeles, in Brentwood,
Mhm.
and saying to this gorgeous, successful man who doesn't drink and opens every door for me, I said, I'm so high maintenance. I'm the worst. I'm so hard to please. And he
What
leaned in and he was like, you really know yourself. This is amazing. And this
Oh my
changed the game
gosh.
for me where I learned that men love a woman who's fully herself. And it's
Yeah.
okay to scare away men who don't like you when you're in your fullness. That's all right.
Mm. Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head there. We tend to start to become who we think they want us to be. And we try to do all of these things to impress them and make them fall in love with us. And at the end of the day, they just want us as we are. And that's why they fall in love with you in the first place because of what you bring to the table, just as you are. So it's very, very good data you got there.
This is the auditioning energy that you mentioned, when we were
Mhm.
chatting that I talk about, because when
Mhm.
we audition on early dates, we are setting ourselves
Mhm.
and that person up for failure. They're going to fall for a version of you that doesn't exist. And it's very
Mhm.
exhausting, as you probably know as a woman, to try to hold up this mask of something that you aren't. And this is something I see in the pendulum swing of, okay, I had all these bad relationships. Now I'm going to be a high value feminine woman. And people
Yeah.
put masks around that instead of still being truthful and authentic to who they are with higher standards and values. So that pendulum swing often gets the opposite result that we want, which is men falling in love with the idea of us. So there's this whole
Yes.
big process that we go on to just come back to center and be a woman who loves herself and, shows up super authentically and isn't afraid to scare men away because that means that the right person is going to move towards her.
Yeah. How long was the whole process of the social experiment?
Not long. I mean, I guess in a
Mhm.
total 6 months, as far as those guys,
Mhm.
how they weeded themselves out. Now, I was dating in that way for more and more data because I wasn't actually ready for anything more. I was still healing from my heartbreak for
Mhm.
almost 2 years.
Mhm. I I love that you actually said that because we do need to take the time to just sit in it, right? Like we all want to just jump on to the next one and hope it just, helps us to forget the old stuff. But what you got to do is the work and you got to really focus on what happened and what went wrong and look at not only him, right, or the opposite person, but look at yourself and figure that out. So I love that you did that and took the time to do that. So, okay, so like 6 months and so you didn't really like any of them?
I ended up liking one of them.
Okay.
And I still didn't, he still wasn't my person. That was the thing. I'm like, wow, you're
Mm,
really, really lovely. Like, you're a good man. And then I
mhm,
had to learn more about myself. It was okay, now it's not just about what these guys do for me and how good they are. You can have a good man who's not yours. I was missing the
mhm,
feeling of like true best friend connection. And then that's where I got to be more curious about less about this process, more heart, and how do I blend the two?
mhm. And I want to ask you to kind of explain your thoughts on this because you mentioned a couple times about, that you were just dating. So you were dating 5 different men at one time. And I think there's a lot of confusion out there on what is actually dating. Because, some people are looking for exclusivity right away, or they think if they go out with somebody more than once, now, oh, I can't go out with this guy over here. How am I going to tell him? What's your take on that? I mean, what is dating? I agree with you. I think it's like that's what you're doing. You're dating. You're like going out with different people, and one or two are going to rise to the top, and the rest are going to fall off, just like you said, right?
Yeah. So
So,
exclusivity is really interesting to me because I knew that eventually wife was on the table for me. And so I couldn't
mhm,
imagine in my 30s dating and being exclusive with somebody for another year, 2 years, 3 years. That wasn't going to be it for me. So for me, it meant keeping my options open, but not sharing my body with all of these people. So it was dates.
mhm,
It was fun. It was open. It was me genuinely looking for the right person for me. I wasn't
mhm,
lying. I wasn't saying there's nobody else. I'm only yours. But I think a lot of women are also meeting people that are new. We're meeting or we're getting into less relationships with the person who's been in our life a long time. And some still
mhm,
do. I ended up becoming, into a relationship like that. But when somebody's new, it takes time to get to know them. And when I looked at my past, for me personally, I thought, well, every man I've actually been with was in my life for at least 3 to 6 months before we started dating. That's information. And so I
mhm,
just started saying it takes 3 to 6 months for me to really know who somebody is. Of course, it could take a
mhm.
lifetime to know who somebody is. But I thought, 3 to 6 months is a good amount of time for me to see if I actually even like you. And so I'm going to
Yeah.
date you and see what that's like. I'm going on dates. My options are open. I'm loving what you're putting on the table. You're showing me what kind of partner you're going to be. And I'm choosing to be the one who chooses the right person at the end of that.
Perfect. Yeah, I think I definitely agree with you that it's like 6 months at least before you really know somebody that you're dating. I mean, so many things are happening in the beginning, and you're trying to impress each other, and you've got the butterflies, we'll say, but those aren't always good. But you're excited and you're in the moment and you're kind of whining and dining and you're doing all of these things. And so you don't actually get to see the real person until at least 6 months in, where you're not going out on all of these dates. And I guess if I thought about like the Bachelor show or something, it's so funny for me to watch that when these guys and women are just like, oh, I'm falling in love with you. After what, 1 date, 2
Mhm.
dates? It's so shocking to me, and it's because they're being, swept off their feet. They're going on helicopter rides, they're doing all of these things, and then when you bring it home and you really get to know each other, most of them just fall to the wayside at that point.
Absolutely. And also, like, honorable mention if you're somebody who's dating men, but men don't close off their options like women do. They keep dating until they tell you, I'm all in this with you.
Mhm.
I'd like to be exclusive. And so this idea that women are supposed to just be like, well, I met a guy, date was great, gonna stop dating is wild because he's not doing that either. And I know that men have a lot of opinions about that. And frankly, I don't care
Mhm.
about what they say because I'm watching what they do. Not, I don't believe in mirroring, but if you're not posing your options, then why would I?
Yeah,
I'm going to stay open. I'm not somebody you test drive. I'm somebody who loves myself, who's making decisions
yeah.
like a woman who loves herself.
Wow. And so the guy that you're marrying now is not one of those 5.
He's not. So there was a
Mhm.
sixth one, and he was the seventh.
That's
There was a
awesome, but
sixth
you knew
one.
him.
Yes. So there was a sixth
Mhm.
one who was a great man. He was wonderful. He had my attention. On paper, we should have been perfect. With
Mhm.
that said, again, the emotionality was missing as far as I like to have deep conversations with someone who feels like my best friend, and deep conversations were not his thing.
Yeah.
So my now fiance, future husband, approached me and said, I know you're dating intentionally. I know you're looking for a husband. I would like to throw my hat in the ring and show you what I'm capable of. And I said, okay, this is, like I'm feeling like I'm going to close out this chapter with this person that was only 4 months. Let's revisit this in the new year. So this was in December. And on January 7th, he showed up at my house with flowers, suit, bottle of wine, and he was shaking. And I said, are you nervous? And he
Oh.
said, I am. I said, would you like to drink some of this before we go? He said, yes, I would. And we both sat there silently like, oh my God, this is crazy. He took me on this beautiful planned to a T date and everything went wrong. And I thought,
Oh,
and I thought, this is the most charming thing ever. Look at the intention he put into it. It didn't have to be
yes.
perfect, but it was
Yeah.
even better because we got to laugh and navigate it together. And 11 months later, we were engaged.
See, that's how it happens. Just
Yeah.
like that. Just like that. So going back to, I'm really fascinated by this whole experiment that you did, obviously. This wasn't in my questioning at all. So so going back to where you're saying you weren't giving up your body to them, you weren't sleeping with all of them. That is a struggle for a lot of women and men. I'll put that out there. But really, we're talking a little bit more about women in this case. How would you suggest that women go about that if they do want to date more than one person, multiple people at one time? How do you suggest they approach that? What do they say?
Yeah, there's a couple things. So first and foremost, we get to just bring attention to honoring your body. I think
Mm.
that we have gotten a little bit far from remembering how sacred our womb is, and not just everybody gets access to that. I mean, we are the ultimate creators of life on this planet, and so men get to earn their access to that. I often I'm a
Yeah.
little woo woo. I'm a lot woo woo, and I think about how no nobody was showing up to God as temples without an offering. So why are we giving up the temple without an offering? It doesn't land, it doesn't resonate.
So good.
So as long as that's the foundation of how you move in this, like my body's actually sacred, the energy exchange gets to be more earned than not. That's the
Mhm.
first move. And then I can tell you exactly what to say to men who are asking about it. It goes like this.
Yes.
My body is really for me right now, and I'm not sharing it with anyone because I'm intentionally dating and looking for my person. And it doesn't have to be you.
Yeah.
I would love it for it to be you, but it doesn't have to be you. But I just know the next person I share it with is going to be a really important person in my life. And I'm so grateful for the men who respect that.
Oh my gosh, that's perfect. And for those of you that are not watching this on YouTube, you need to see like her body language as she's saying this. There's a little bit of flirtiness there, right? You're kind of batting your eyes a little bit, using your shoulders, and you're kind of letting him know and making him feel good about your decision rather than just a shutdown, right? Or,
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
women get defensive really quickly in this
Hmm.
department because we want to be respected. And I
Hmm.
find that when we get defensive, it's the first act of war. It sends other people on the defense. It's the difference between, well, how dare you ask me that question? I'm not just sleeping with anyone. Who do you think I am? And I'm so
Hmm.
embodied in my decision. I'm so grateful. I'm dancing through life like this. And they really,
Yes.
really appreciate it.
Yes. Oh, I love that, Taylor. That is so, so good. So I know you've talked about like kind of high achieving women and their struggle in relationships. Why do you think that happens when everything else is going right for them in their work lives, outside of dating, everything is perfect? Why do they struggle so much in love life?
It's a couple things, but I will start with this. The overachiever has a really hard time turning her brain off. Like she's really
Mm.
good at handling everything all at once. And I even saw this for me, when I was in long-term relationships before, I didn't have a successful business. So I was like soft and sexy constantly. Like I'd go to work, I'd come home, I was turned on. But when I
Yeah.
started holding a lot of business, back end things, marketing, posting, social media, clients, emotions. I'm dealing with heartbreak all day and disappointment in the dating world. And then my partner would come home from his work once we moved in together after getting the ring. I
Hmm.
I just felt so irritated at him. Like I could
Yeah.
just step in and do everything really fast and I'd be like, stop talking, I'm working. Like I started to feel that snap coming in because
Hmm.
turning that part of my brain off was really, really challenging. And women aren't taught how to navigate the difference between being the CEO and being a lover. And so
Yeah.
I think we're really taught as women that men can't do things anyway. So we just jump in and do it. The best thing that these women can do is really start to learn how to trust that men can do things. And once
Hmm.
they're off the clock, be off the clock and witness him and receive that information and let him do things that make you happy. It's
Mm.
okay to be happy. It's okay to receive. So these women get
Yeah.
to learn how to be better at receiving, even though they hold so many things all day, every day. Being a lover means coming home and having your safe place to land, and that gets to be okay.
Yeah, so they really need to figure out that balance between being a strong, independent woman and being in control all of the time, right? I think it's a hard balance when you're used to doing that because we're at work a lot times more than we're awake at home, so we're having to use those control muscles. And then once we get home, it's hard to turn it off. So
Mhm.
you just got to kind of relax, like set yourself up, have a glass of wine when you come in, take a nice warm bath, get yourself back into that feminine state so you can be that way for your partner.
My suggestion is take a really hot shower and let it sort of shock your body out of it's
Hmm.
just a body shower, 5 minutes. Shock your body out of the day and then change into something soft and be present with your partner. I had somebody ask me today. I actually saw the owner of the yoga studio I go to on my way to coffee, and he was asking me
Yeah.
questions about the wedding and my fiance. And he's like, "Well, did he do this and this and this?" And I said, "I don't know what he does. I don't tell him what to do. I just say, do your thing." And he's like, "What? Like, you don't tell him he shouldn't go to LA on Saturdays because of this and this?" I was like, "Why would I do that? He's his own person. He gets to do whatever he's going to do. I'm marrying a man I trust."
That's huge. That's a
Mhm.
really big place to be in and hard to get there sometimes because we're coming off the tail end of something else that probably happened in the previous relationship and we have to figure out a way to cut that and leave it in the past. And so is that kind of where your whole past, present, future kind of blends together a little bit? I don't think we fully touched on that on going from one to the next.
Well, the
Can you
past,
explain
present, and
that?
the future piece is a little bit separate. So it's more about how women in the past got results versus how women in the
Mhm.
past had results we don't want now. So it's being aware of they got courted properly but didn't have the right to do this. Whereas now I have the right to do this, but I'm not being courted properly. How do I bring those together? And then how do I get
Mhm.
curious about what is the future of love now that love has changed? Now that
Yeah,
women make money, now that women do all of these things, what does marriage even look like? So that's sort of what that past, present, future timeline
got it.
collapse, atemporal coherence thing is about.
Just going from the past to the present to the future, how we are moving through that phase and combining them all together, but stopping ourselves from going too far in the past or too far in the future because we don't want to be dating with potential, right? And we don't want to be looking in the past either and saying, well, my partner didn't do this before, or this happened to me and bringing that into the present.
I will tell you right now exactly how I get my high achieving clients to stop doing this in dating. And sometimes in marriage it's a little bit different. But if you can start to actually convince yourself, even if you don't believe it right now,
Mhm.
actually convince yourself that men love doing nice things for you. Period. All men in all of the world, when they see you, they want to do nice things for you, get the door for you, reach the thing off the shelf, give you a free latte. Every man everywhere loves to take care of me. And
Mhm.
start telling yourself that narrative. Once you start to believe it, even just a little bit, your brain will start to show you evidence of it. Once your brain starts to show you evidence of it, your perception of the masculine will begin to change. You'll start to believe in them more. And once you start to believe in them more, that's the ripple effect into your relationships where you stop trying to control because now you understand you have even more control and even more power over your life, your happiness, and your joy because
Mhm.
you allow men to move towards you. So that's exactly what I have my clients do.
Mm.
Change their perception of reality when it comes to men.
Oh, I love that idea. I love that. And I don't think we actually realize as much the way we think, the things we do, how that resonates with what who we're looking for and how we attract somebody, right? Because I that was one of my next questions is, a lot of people are like, why do I keep attracting the same person over and over? Always the emotionally unavailable person. And they have to realize it's a lot of those things. It's also our nervous system that goes to what's familiar, right? So I was just going to ask you, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, like you said, we're attracting what's familiar. If you've had that a lot show up for you in your dating life, like let's even just say just dating in the last 6 months, you keep
Mhm.
seeing emotionally unavailable people because your best friend was dating an emotionally unavailable guy and you were so scared to get back in the dating world, and then you did, and then you were expecting this to happen, and so your brain was helping you find evidence of what you believe.
Mhm.
So that's a big one. But another one
Mhm.
is if you're attracting a lot of emotionally unavailable people, it might be because you're emotionally unavailable. You don't
Yeah.
like people who like long-term relationships if you do not want one.
Ah, that's so great. That's so true.
Mhm. It's easier for me to find somebody temporary and then blame it on them if I'm also like, I don't know if I want that, but I should want that, but I don't know. And
Hmm.
everyone's telling me to date. You're going to go for the guy who's temporary.
Yeah. And I think a lot of that starts even from the dating sites, when people are putting on there what they're looking for, because a lot of times they're just putting what they think we want them to say, right? And
Mhm.
so they're all putting long-term relationship, except the few that are like, yeah, I'm just looking for the one night stand, the hookup, and I'm like, yes, thank you for actually saying that. I mean, that's not what I'm looking for, but thank you for actually being honest and saying what you're looking for. Because if you don't, it's just going to come out in the wash later. I mean, if you're not really looking for a long-term relationship, it's not gonna play out the way you think it's going to anyways, and that just is disappointing for everybody. So that's a good thing
Totally.
to do on the dating sites. Just be straight up from the beginning of exactly what you're looking for and be proud of it. Own it if that's what you want, right?
I am a master at dating apps. Like, if I could be doing this all day just for fun, I totally would. And it's funny because I have Hinge on my phone, and my partner
Yeah.
knows because I log into my clients' accounts and I like edit things and I look at how they're speaking and I coach them in real time on it. And
Yeah.
my goodness, the way that when I edit somebody's dating apps, instantly the men are reaching out saying, your profile is so intentional. This is the most refreshing thing I've seen. And so
Hmm.
here's my formula that I'm going to give you guys right now. Okay.
Listen up, ladies.
The first photo is you in your best red. So if you don't know your color seasonal analysis, please learn it. Get your best red on and smiling at the camera. You can have a coffee, you can have a wine, whatever it is, a soft smile at the camera. Red, men are significantly more likely to invest in a woman in red. This is sales psychology.
Mhm.
Then the first prompt gets to be about you. This is, the way to win me over is, right? And then it's,
Yeah.
I love a long walk on a beach and an intentional man. If you can make me laugh, brownie points. This is something cute.
Yeah.
Don't say, oh, I love surfing and I love travel. That is so boring.
So
Like, be more
boring.
interesting. Right. Then we move down a little bit. Don't put your career on there because you're leading with how impressive you are. If you don't want a man who likes you for what you do, take it off, right? Just take it
Mm.
off. Let them ask you. Take off what you're looking for. Let them ask you. Now we move down a little bit. Please make sure your photos are beautiful, that you're looking soft and radiant and gorgeous, less alcohol, less friends, just you, right? You're the thing. The
Yes.
next two prompts are about them, not about you. Okay.
Okay.
So it's, I can't think of them off the top of my head right now, but make sure you're saying things that matter to you about men.
Mhm.
Chivalry, opening doors, these things make me feel great as a woman. I'm so much better in person than I am on this app. You won't know until you meet me. Let me know when you'd like to set something up.
Mm.
Be bold, but also give them back the ball of like, I'm here, I'm open. I'm not here to be your pen pal. Feel
Mhm.
free to invite me out. This is how I prefer. And so the way that I communicate with men is always making them feel like it's their idea. I'm not saying, hey, let's go get ice cream on Saturday. I'm saying, let me know when you'd like to set something up. Now it's their idea. Now they're intrigued.
Those are such great tips. I love all of those. I say a lot of those things too. I get very irritated with a lot of the photos on there that have all the people you don't even know which one you're looking at, right? Because often it's not even matching up to the other photos. So those are some really, really great tips of things that you want to say. So, if someone is feeling like they are just completely stuck right now in this cycle, what's like the first thing you would suggest they do? Those that are maybe afraid to get on the dating apps. I mean, they just got to start somewhere, right?
Mhm. I think the most important thing for women when it comes to dating is how deeply in love you are with your own life and your own experience. So the way that I work is more holistic in nature. Like it's less about scripts and here's what you do. Like we have those, that's great, that's lovely. But I'm more interested in you embodying the woman that you love, right? Like you
Hmm.
being your own dream woman and then moving about the world in that way. So if you would like to not get on dating apps, great. Work on your closed energy. If your energy is closed, no man is going to walk through that door. So you get to be very good at showing men, hey, the door's open. I'm here. I'm out here. My energy's open and I'm detached from the outcome. I'm just here to enjoy myself. So that's the first place I always look at. I go, who's
Yeah.
your dream woman? And are you embodying her right now? And if not, let's clean that up. Declutter your underwear drawer. Get all the water bottles out from the backseat of your car. Like, no shame, babe. Like, we all have water bottles in our car. We're women. But with that said, let's clean it up. Let's make
Yeah.
space for a man in your life where you maybe don't have one. After that,
Hmm.
it's one thing to say you should just get started, but it's another one to say it doesn't have to be perfect. I would assume that none of these men on this app are your husband, but I'd be
Hmm.
curious about having some fun and seeing what's possible. So that's that curiosity, become a little bit of a scientist of your own love life experience. And
Hmm.
so if dating feels like it's burning you out and slowing you down and making you exhausted and disappointed, just stop doing it and
Yeah.
reset
Take a break.
and fall back in love. Yeah. But if it gets to feel like it's so easy and you just get to be you on a date and there's a guy there, now we're cooking.
And that's a mindset change. That is your
Mhm.
energy shift, right? To knowing that and feeling that way. And then you'll start just feeling, oh, all these men are like attracted to me and I don't have to chase them. How nice is that? How nice is that? So you said something in there about like with the dating sites, you're probably not going to find your husband on there. Do you believe that? Like they're just meant more for to get you back out on the field to kind of make you feel good going on some dates and stuff, but not truly an intentional place to find your
You
partner.
can. I still have clients doing it, but we don't go into it
Hmm.
with that intention. It's like, I'm here to open every single door that the universe could possibly send a man through. I'm just not expecting it's this one or that one or this one or that one. My doors are open and I'm going to play in them because if we
Yeah.
get too like scrolling on the dating apps and we're disappointed, 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 then our energy begins to close. But one of my girlfriends just found, it was like 7 months ago, this man, she showed me his hinge. She goes, I don't know. What do you think? I'm not sure. And I was like, I'll tell you right now, that's a man I would have gone on a date with. And they just went wedding ring shopping. So 7 months
Wow.
all in on her. He's taken responsibility for her son. And it was a dating app.
Wow. What was it about him that made you say that?
I just have good guy radar now because I've changed my type on such a deep level where I only like good guys. And so I can
Hmm.
tell because I have such a love and a reverence for a great guy that I see it and
Hmm.
I'm like, but he's got great energy. Like his profile isn't dazzling you because he's not taking up all the space in the room because he doesn't have to, because he's just a good
Yeah.
guy enjoying life. I could just tell like he golfs, his photos weren't that great, they weren't crystal clear. Like there's something about like a fuzzy photo on a dating app where I'm like, he's not doing the dating app thing to get women. He has doors
Mm.
open too. So let's go find out.
Hmm. Oh, that's good. Yeah, I like that. So I wanted to ask you a question. We're going to kind of wind it up here, but when we talked about like chivalry and courting and dating, I love all of that stuff. I love when a man opens a door for you, or he just puts you on the right side of the sidewalk, right? So that you're not going to get hit by a car or something crazy. And I love all of that stuff. And I feel like for the most part, it's gone out the window. Like a lot of guys are just not like that anymore. What kinds of things, how, first of all, can you get your person, if he's not doing that, to start doing that again? Number one. And number two, like, are we wrong for wanting all of these chivalrous things? I'm going to say no, just based on what our conversation has been thus far, that you're like, heck yeah, bring it on. Right.
Yeah.
But, so many women are wanting to, be feminist, and I don't want you holding the door for me. And that's a hard, I'm just going to say, I think it's a hard place for men to be these days because they don't know really where their place is. And that can be really tricky. So how do we get our partner? I'll go back to my actual question. How do we get our partner to maybe do some of those things? My partner does it, but I'm asking for the ladies out there.
Yeah, so little side quest, and then I'll take you into the answer. But I just had my bachelorette party this last weekend, and almost every woman there, it was like 7 out of 8 of us have a partner. And I
Okay.
looked around the room as far as the women who are recently in partnerships, the women who have been in partnerships for a while. They went, every single one of these women has a chivalrous man who opens doors, pays for everything,
Mm.
pulls out chairs. We all have this man in this room. There's a frequency to this. And
Mm-hmm.
so I think first and foremost, you have to look at yourself and see, how am I embodying the woman who gets out of the way of the door? How do I embody
Mm-hmm.
the woman who receives it in so much gratitude, not by being cheesy, but through energy, through embodiment? Men fall in love with how we make them feel. Like we are the ones who take them so much deeper into their life experience. So let's start with early dating, and then we'll get into if you're already partnered and the sort of
Yeah.
hows. So in early dating, you get to show up like a woman that people open doors for. And if you don't know what that looks like, watch some movies, do some research, and see how women like that dress, move, take care of themselves, and speak. At this point, there's no question that people would open doors for me. And this happens for my clients constantly. Like, that's the first thing that shifts. Men are
Yeah.
chivalrous now. This is what it is. I'm unavailable for the other experience. Like, it just wouldn't happen. It's not in my field. It doesn't resonate. Right. And so learn how to roll your shoulders back when you're walking up to the restaurant, move out of the way. Don't look at him, look around. It's so beautiful. Oh my God, thank you so much. I'm so grateful. Walk through the door. And as you're walking up to the table, stand there with your jacket on and just look at him and looking at it. And then he's gonna feel weird, but he's gonna get the hint. Men are not stupid. And so
Hopefully.
women stop treating men like they're stupid and sitting down because they feel guilty and they shouldn't wait. Like, just be difficult. It's okay. It's not that difficult for a man to pull out a chair. Like, let's have a little more faith in men. Now, the longer term relationship shift is a little more challenging because a foundation has been set.
Mm.
What we don't want to do is nag them to do the things. Because if it doesn't feel like his idea, we're going to send him so far away from him actually wanting to do it like a sovereign person in the world who does things. He gets to be a man. He gets to feel like your man. If you make him feel like a child, he doesn't want to do these things for you. So let's start with play. How playful are you with your partner? Sometimes we're not. Sometimes life gets in the way, and there's kids and there's routines and this. As you're walking up to the garage door, because you guys just pulled in from PTA meeting, step aside. And if he goes, what happened? Just say, oh, nothing. I was just feeling like if you got the door for me, it would feel amazing. And then give him a giggle. And he might think it's weird. Let him be uncomfortable. It's okay. Men can be uncomfortable. And then when you come in, it's like, I don't even know if I'll ever be able to open a door again, and have fun with him and make him feel like, wow, when I do this, it brings out this other side of her I haven't seen in a while. What an honor that is. He wants to see you in your beauty. So show him what gives you the beauty so that he can receive the beauty. And it won't always work because sometimes the foundation is so deeply set, there may not be coming back from it. But the best chance you have is playfulness, gratitude, and beauty.
And if you guys are listening out there and you feel like you've been doing everything right, but love still isn't showing up the way you want it to, then this might just be the shift you needed. Right? So go check out Taylor's stuff. She's got so much good stuff. She gave us so many gems in this episode, you guys. I hope you were listening and taking notes. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, send this to a friend. Love to hear from you. You guys, you can find me on social media at from.mrs.2.ms. I'm on YouTube as well, full videos, because you're going to want to go watch Taylor and see how she does this. You got to embody the muse. I love it. So good. So good. Thank you so much for joining me. And I'm so excited for you with your wedding coming up in just 3 weeks. Congratulations. And to you listeners out there, we'll see you guys next week. Have a good one. Bye.